The following is a paid program. The views and opinions expressed or products endorsed are not necessarily those of KTOV, its staff, or management.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and a happy good morning to you wherever you are. This is the Clara Luper's radio show, and today's show is being brought to you by your favorite Allstate insurance agent, Merlin Hildred. If it's insurance that you're talking about, you're really talking about seeing Merlin. The telephone number is 843-0811. Merlin Hildred, your Allstate insurance agent. Now, when we think of insurance, we're talking about life insurance, accident insurance, home insurance, boat insurance, all kinds of insurance. We're talking about Merlin Hildred, your insurance consultant. On Thursday, Merlin had to go to Kansas City to an outstanding meeting. At that meeting, there were some new techniques that are being developed, and you call Merlin. 843-0811, and if you cannot get her there, call her at home, 427-8399. This is our Mother's Day special, and today's special is being brought to you by Gates Barber Shop, located at 2609 North Martin Luther King in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You want to look good, and your mother wants you to look good. So all you've got to do today is go to Gates Barber Shop. You don't have to call. All you'll have to do is go. Gates Barber Shop, 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Don't call, just go. First come, first serve. And you'll be out so quickly you will have time to go out and do that shopping for your mother. Mother's Day greetings from Hometown IGA, open 24 hours for your convenience, and they have some special sales on meat today. So go to Hometown IGA, 2001 Northeast 23rd Street, on 23rd and Martin Luther King Avenue. And a happy Mother's Day from the entire staff and owners of Hometown IGA. I have something very special for you today. Bishop Ponder will be here to deliver my Mother's Day special message, and it's all for all of us. Bishop Ponder, an international known bishop, will be my special guest here today. Happy Mother's Day from Dr. A.L. Dow, located at 934 Northeast 8th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. If you just think that you need some glasses and you aren't sure, if you have noticed certain things about your children, maybe they are looking at the television, they have to get up so close and all of that, take them to Dr. A.L. Dow. Call Dr. Dow, the optometrist in our own community. He accepts the medical card. He's located at 934 Northeast 8th Street, the corner of 8th and North Kelly Avenue. The telephone number is 235-0536. Mother's Day is a very special time for all of us, and today's program is dedicated to mothers everywhere. I want you to stay tuned to the Clara Luper radio show. Well, today the NACP Youth Council will be selling catfish dinners, and if you've been by Freedom Center, you've seen the bricks. What do you think about those bricks, Geraldine, at Freedom Center? And what do you think about the way it's looking now? Freedom Center is being bricked because of you.
Mrs. Luper, this is why you have the support of all of us here in Oklahoma City. You're doing an outstanding job here. You're laying a great foundation, and we're happy to see the bricks go on the Freedom Center.
Well, the bricks are going, but I need some more bricks, and I know you're going to help me today. All of my children out in radio land, I need you to do something for me today because we've got to complete the job. I want you to come to 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue. Naturally, some of you will come there and you will buy catfish dinner. But I want you to bring me a Mother's Day present. Now, my Mother's Day present can be your Mother's Day present. It can be a brick. Isn't that something?
That's
You don't
remarkable.
have to bring the bricks because your bricks might not match our bricks, but just bring your 21 cents for bricks. And some of you will want
Did you
the
say 21 cents?
21 cents.
Oh, Miss Luper, well, you're going to have more bricks than you can use for
I sure,
21 cents.
we'll see. We'll see because
21
I
cents?
need some bricks today. Letty Ruth Hunter needs some bricks. Maxine Stale needs some bricks. Nala Jewel Phillips needs some bricks. Yes, 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 we need some bricks because we want to finish that job this week with the bricks. Now, those of you say, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to show you what we are going to do because you're going to bring enough of that to finish the bricks, and then we've got to put those blocks up there. And those blocks are going to run about $9 each. Now, what we did, we put the blocks up there first in blue and white, but the blue has faded, and we've got to fix it. It worked for 3 years, but now we've got to fix it for 100 years, and I know I'm going to have your support. You may call me today, and don't call me jive me. Miss Luper, happy Mother's Day. I love you, baby. If you love me, prove your love to me. The proof is in the eating. Yes, Passion Home and Health Care, located at 3838 Northwest 36th Street, Suite 100. Would like to say Happy Mother's Day to all of you. And if you need any help with any kind of special care, if you need someone to go to the store, if you need any kind of help, all you've got to do is to call 943-5779. On Mother's Day, we reflect back on our mothers, and both of us have so much in common in that our mothers sleep in yonder's cemetery. And when you think of your mother, what do you really think of, Geraldine?
Well, Miss Luper, I think of such a great, I consider her as a great hero, my hero, a Christian lady that had so much love, just overwhelming. In fact, every day of my life, I think about her and the foundation that she laid and the things that she instilled in me. Mother's Day, some people feel sad, but I rejoice because I reflect back on our beautiful moments. And my mother was like my mother, my friend, my sister. She was my jewel. And Miss Luper, she really had love for all of us. She had 14 kids, and I tell you, that lady was some kind of mother. And I tell you, I wouldn't take anything for God sending me and giving me the type of mother that he gave me.
Yeah, she had 14 children, and I don't care what those children were in, Mrs. Carr was always there.
You are right, Miss Luper. She encouraged us in everything, carried us to God's house, teaching us the right way, in our school activities, always there. The boys were involved in basketball, whatever we were involved in, Mother was there. So these are the memories that I feast on.
Of 14 children, how many girls?
There were 10 girls and 3 boys.
Ernest, David, and Jimmy. Is that right?
You got it.
Ernest, David, and Jimmy. Oh, my goodness. We like to
And just the thing,
Mrs.
Miss
Carr.
Luper, you had input with all of them. You had some dealing with all of them.
Yes, I love the Carrs.
You
love
sure
the Carrs.
did, Miss
And
Luper.
Mrs. Carr was so stately and so dignified. And one thing you'd better not do, say anything about her children. I never shall forget one time Jimmy was playing basketball and missed the basket, and I could say, look at old Jimmy. And she corrected me. She told me that was her baby.
Well, yeah, she was a loving and caring mother, and she just wanted her kids, as Dad always said to her, you're just like a mother hen hooving over your children. She had so much love for us, Miss Luper. Many times, and she would often say this to her children. She says, one thing, a lot of these people get rid of their babies and try to have abortion. She said, I wouldn't have thought of that. I love every one of my kids. And she said, since my children have been born, people want them adopted out. They want my children. She said, but I want my children. I love my children. And you know something else, Miss Luper? We never saw a hungry day. We had enough food to even give others.
And she fed 14.
She fed 14 and others.
That is just wonderful, and today we are saluting mothers everywhere. And naturally, my mother didn't have 14, but I grew up in a home with 3 girls, Onita, Hazel, and myself. We called Hazel girl, and Mama loved all of us. She loved her grandchildren, and she showed a dedicated love. She worked in order that we could have some of the better things of life. Thank you, Mom. And today, as we dedicate this program to mothers everywhere, we are certainly dedicating it to those mothers that worked. What did you see, Mama, when you were washing somebody else's clothes? I saw lawyers and doctors. I saw engineers. Yes, we are all a product of our mothers. Those of you out in Radio Land, I want you to know that Johnson Chardina's Daycare is owned by a dedicated mother, Mrs. Gloria Matthews, dedicated to such an extent that she named her nursery center after her three children, Chauncey, Shardina, Cheryl, and Dina. What a name. Chauncey's Shardinas, located at 1643 Northeast of 15th Street, 424-4656. One of the oldest, or the oldest, daycare center on the northeast side of Oklahoma City. A side that will brag about the fact that Mrs. Gloria Matthews has always been here. She is taking care of the third generation of children and doing a magnificent job. What does she have to offer? She has so much to offer in that daycare center. It's more than a center. They have a library, they have computers, they have, name it and they have it. Don't take my word. Go to 1643 Northeast 50th Street and look for yourself. Or you can go to 2611 North Martin Luther King and look for yourself. She has it. Not only that, she has a dedicated staff, and she exposes her children to everything. Take them to the zoo, take them downtown, put on programs. Oh, what a person. What a person. Today is the day that we have set aside to salute mothers wherever mothers are. We salute you, mothers.
Miss Loop, I want to share something with you. As you and I sit here today, I want to say something to every youngster and to every person who have a mother still in the land of the living. Obey your mother. Appreciate her. Give her love. And you can be like Miss Luper, and we're doing this morning. We feel good. We're not sad. We have some rejoicing. We are reflecting back on some precious moments with our family. Yes, my mother was better known as Mother Dear. Known to everybody. She was such a loving and a caring person. Treat your mother right. And if you've mistreated her, go to her right now. Don't hesitate. Don't waste another minute. Tell your mother that you love her. And I thank God for Miss Loop. This is why we have so much in common. We respected our mother. We had great love for her. We knew someday she's going to go home, but I tell you something else. If we didn't respect them, we probably wouldn't be here today talking about it. You had to respect your parents. And I thank God when I look back on the type of parents that I had. Caring parents, Christian parents. And I want to say to each one of you all, love your mother. And to all mothers, have a happy Mother's Day. And remember, God loves you, and whatever you're going through, God is going through it with you. Miss Luper, and you have a very happy Mother's Day. You deserve it.
Well, thank you, and I would like to thank all of you for your birthday cards, and I would like to thank you for your Mother's Day cards, and I would like to thank you. Wildwood Baptist Church will celebrate its 24th anniversary. Another year has come and gone, with many blessings given to us from God as we continue to serve this community, this city, and this state. We are inviting the charter members, the former members, and friends to come to help us worship. Come and enjoy our fellowship, celebration, and let us visit together tomorrow, all day, starting with Sunday school, morning worship, and climaxing with a 4 p.m. musical.
A 4 p.m. musical. Now, where will that musical be, Calvin? Well, Brother Burley will be the guest musician, and the musical will be at the Wildwood Baptist Church, located at 60 Northeast 63rd Street, right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I want to remind all of you that you're a part of today's Clara Luper radio show. I know you called that friend, you've called that neighbor, and you invited them to be a part of this Mother's Day special, we should say. But it would be unfair and unwise for me to come here in this beautiful studio out here, and Dean, all of us been sitting over there listening to you, Mrs. Downey, and Mrs. Downey, Mom. But we want to say to you, Happy Mother's Day from the depths of our hearts, and thank you not only for Mother's Day, but for the other 364 days that you have been a mother to me especially, and to all of us whose lives you've touched. Thank you so
Well, I
much.
sure thank you for thanking me, Calvin.
Oh, no problem.
But
I got some more flowers to give you right to here.
okay, I want flowers in the terms of bricks, and I need help today because I'm going to break a record, and we're going to do what they said we couldn't do. On May the 21st, now that's the day of the Wildwood Baptist Church celebration of the 24th anniversary. Wildwood Baptist Church, May 21st. Write that date down. Reverend S.T.G. Smith is a pastor. Reverend Dwayne Talley is the assistant pastor. Rosie P. is in charge of publicity.
And that is at 60 Northeast 63rd Street,
And,
right here in Oklahoma City.
and that's on
May
May
21st.
21st.
Go ahead.
May 21st, and don't miss that date. Calvin, today we are saluting mothers everywhere, and Reverend Bishop Punda will be here and be our special guest today, and I know we are going to have something very special. And speaking of something very special, today the Zeta Phi Beta sorority will be meeting at 10 o'clock at the McFarland Branch YWCA in Oklahoma City. And all Zetas are asked to be present because this will be a salute to Zeta mothers. And mothers of Zetas will be saluted today.
You know, those Zetas were out of sight last weekend at Langston University, too. I think they were as proud as those as the AKAs were.
Oh, they were
Shelley.
proud. We were
proud of
the Zetas.
I
are
say
always
go
proud
Zetas,
people.
but everybody
Go
was. That
Zetas,
was
go
really an
Zetas,
exciting
go
week.
Zetas.
And you know, Mom, this has really been I think this Mother's Day will be a special Mother's Day to all of us because of the way things have been here. We have the opportunity to put our hands on and to thank our mothers, thank our loved ones for being a mother, for being there when you're down, being there when you're up, understanding your ups and downs. You know, it's a very hard job being a mother. Now, it don't take much to give birth, but it's a hard job.
Don't take much. That's a difficult job.
Well,
too,
you know,
Calvin.
I'm saying that
Yes, because
in
you
light
would
of something
understand.
because I wouldn't
Most
understand
men don't
that.
understand, right?
But I do understand this, that after that difficulty, there comes the time when the mind power and the inner strength of a good mom always comes through, and I think it makes for a better child, and which makes for a better husband, which makes for a better wife, which makes for all of that, and it just goes on, and it snowballs into being something great that we all can be proud of. But to all the moms out there, especially my play mom, Mrs. Hunter, Nancy Davis, Mrs. Matthews, Ms. Ruby Hill, and of course, definitely my neighbor, young lady, Mrs. Turner. I want to say to all of you a happy Mother's Day.
But certainly I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to all of you out in Radio Land. And I'm going to have a Happy Mother's Day because today you're going to bring me some bricks, you're going to buy some catfish, and you can pass by 2609 North Martin Luther King and say, I helped to do it. You say, okay, Clara, you're always wanting something. You're always asking people for something. Let me ask you something. What's wrong with my asking people to perpetuate a monument to themselves? I was in Acapulco. They have a monument to a frog. You mean to tell me I cannot fix a monument and put the names and pictures on Freedom Center on that Black History Wall and monument of people that have made it possible? I had the opportunity to eat at a well-known restaurant the other day, and a young man who had not seen me since 1958 walked over to my table and said, Miss Luper, I just want to thank you because I know if it had not been for you and those NACP youth council members and others that stood for me, I would not be where I am today. Thank you, Mr. White. That was very, very kind of you. Yes, Calvin.
Yes, Mom. I just mentioned her name, and she called right in, and I want to wish her again a happy Mother's Day, and I'd like to say hello and welcome to the Clara Luper Radio Show, live and in living color this beautiful Saturday morning. How are you doing, Mrs. Hunter?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Calvin. I'm just doing great, and I want to wish all the radio audience that's listening this morning, and they have mothers, practically everyone has a mother, happy Mother's Day. And then I want them to do something special. If you haven't gone to church, go to church on Mother's Day because mothers love for their children to go to church. And because I know when I was a child growing up, you know, my mother saw to it that we'd go to church every Sunday, so Mother's Day wasn't anything special because she said to it that we went to church and all the neighbors' children went to church. And whatever the needs were, she'd always see to it that we had that so that we could go to church on Sunday because we were the church. So go to church on Sunday. It's Mother's Day, and do something special for your mother. Maybe if you haven't carried her out for dinner, take her out for dinner, because I'm sure she would enjoy you just saying something or doing something special. So since I heard you say you're going to give your mother some flowers, so since she can't eat the flowers, you may want to take her out for dinner, Calvin, and then she could eat. And talking about that, we are having a fish dinner today. So if you want some fish dinner, come up and get it. And then I heard Mrs. Luper talking about bricks. Now, she's so been bragging. You know, usually we are talking about our churches, but this time I'm going to talk about our students. You know, she's supposed to have so many thousands of students that's come past her during her teaching tenure. So now I'm going to see how many of those fine students that she had is going to come by there today, buy fish dinner, and take part in getting some bricks. Now, they can leave the money for us to buy the brick when they come by and buy the fish dinner. Now, I'm just going to see how many is going to do that. So I'm going to send somebody up there to take that count.
Okay, Mrs. Hunter, you taught a large number of students, and those students realize the sacrifices that you have made. They realize how you have been able to stay with NACP since its founding. How many of those students going to come up there and buy some bricks?
That is right. If they can't come up there, I want them to know they can mail it to me. They can drop it by my house at 1820 Michigan, because we are trying to improve the looks of the center for the community. Things we do, Ms. Luper, we do them for the community. And, you know, I just been thinking, and I've traveled around, I've traveled around quite a bit, and I've seen a lot of writing on the wall, but I've never seen history as we have it portrayed on our wall there. Over there, they have monuments with a lot of people's names for what they have done. For a cause, like all the people that were killed in Pearl Harbor, all their names are engraved, and you can go and look and see how many names up there to find out how many people were involved in the Pearl Harbor chaos. But far as accomplishments, I have not seen that, but I'm not going to say it wasn't there, because as you travel, you find new things, because when we were in Boston, I found out there on the monument they had something about black soldiers that I did not know, but it had it all written out there. So this that we have here in Oklahoma City is something special, something different, something unique and unusual. So I know they're going to help us put the brick on it, because the brick has improved the looks of the building, because it was just a stone building, but this is
and the walls were falling in.
That's right, and we needed to improve the walls of the building and improve the looks of the building in the community.
Well, that Charlie Spriggs is really doing a terrific job, and we will complete it this week. By next Saturday, we will have it completed because of the people out there. Now, let's
because they're going to bring us a whole lot of bricks.
Okay, let's just name these youth advisors, and we're going to see whose students will respond. That's Mrs. Gloria Matthews, who's teaching her third generation of students, and the students, many of them got outstanding jobs.
That's
Mrs.
right.
Nancy
And
Davis,
cars.
and Nancy Davis has picked up kids and promoted them all the time, and
That's
now
right.
she wants to complete that building with its bricks and all of that, and we got to put some cement and whatever it takes to stick those bricks together. And then there's Letty Ruth Hunter, taught at Douglas High School and taught in Lawton, Oklahoma.
Believe it or not, I taught at 3 different Douglases in my career. I taught at a Douglas in Chandler, I taught at a Douglas in Oklahoma City, and I taught at a Douglas in Lawton.
Okay,
So
we'll
I've
see
had-
how many of those students going to help you finish the job. And then there's Mr. Robert Gates, who has helped people all the time. How many people go up there and buy some bricks and say, this is because of the respect I have for Mr. Gates?
Right.
And then there's Mrs. Wilma Ray, who's been in business and who's been helping people. How many people come up there? And Nyla Jewel Phillips. And this was Nyla's dream, to put those bricks up there. Wonder how many of us students will either come by today, because we're going to close it out today as far as the bricks are concerned.
She had two-fold. She had some in cosmetology, and then she had some in the regular classrooms. So
Okay.
she has a two-fold purpose for her kids to come in.
And then there's Mrs. Maxine Stale.
That's right.
Okay,
Mrs. Ford,
Miss
don't leave Mrs.
Oh,
Ford out.
Mrs. Leola Ford,
Right.
who has been in the teaching field and who has worked so hard. And then we have, once again, I'll go back, and that's Mrs. Cheryl Fowler, has taught a lot of kids. But you're going to be surprised at what you're going to do today. You're going to help us complete the job. And we want you to come up there because we need not only your money, but we need your brains.
That's right, and we need help, as the man said. We need HELP capitalized.
Help. Okay, I'm going to see who's going to be the first one to call me out here. The telephone number is 672-1220. And be sure and call and tell them who was your teacher and you're wishing your teacher a happy Mother's Day.
And I'm buying these many bricks.
And yes, and I'm going to buy some bricks today and I'm going to eat some catfish. This is the day that we are so happy. And I'm sure that they are going to call and we are going to finish the job.
Oh, yes.
And mothers will be happy. On that north side of the building, there will be a portrait to a mother. Now, many of you saw it when we first put it up, but I want you to see what's happening to it now. When we finish that, we will have the largest portrait to a building, to a mother that you have ever seen in your life. And you can pass by there and tell people. Anyway, we had a notation from a group of students who will be there, and we would like to thank all of the teachers for bringing their students to Freedom Center where Black history come alive. We are very, very proud. Calvin, do you have any of our students? Are they all quiet now? I want to just, Miss Luper, I love you. I wish you happy.
I have something more special than that. It's a young lady to call, and she's not your student, Mrs. Hunter's student, anybody, but she's a friend of that dynamic, Mr. Gates. And she wants you to know that she's given her contribution because of her contact with Mr. Gates and the inspiration that he's been to her. And her name is Rose Davis. And her son's name is Raphael Cherry, and they're both making a donation, and she was on her way up to Gates Barbershop to leave that donation.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
So
the barbershop is getting ahead.
Well,
the barbershop is not going to get ahead. Do you think
that's pretty cute,
that all Clara
Luper
students would let her be behind? I've never been behind. I don't know what it means to be behind. I don't know how it feels to be behind.
That's just what Mr. Gates wants as ahead.
He's going ahead. So.
He's moving ahead. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, Mom, we have quite a bit going on today, but I want to send out just a little bit of this to some of the people while we're talking about it, while we're making a little changes.
While we are answering telephones ring,
like that.
Ring on. Don't worry, Bishop Ponder will be here. You will get to hear from him at 20 minutes to 10.
And it's very exciting. We want to remind all of you that you're listening to the Clara Luper Radio Show live and in living color here at KTLV, and to call that friend, call that neighbor, and be a part of today's show. Guaranteed to inspire and make you happy for this weekend and for the rest of the week. We love you, but hold on tight and call that friend, call that neighbor. This song goes out to you, Mom, in a very special way from us out here to you, saying, hello, Mother.
Thank you.
I had a dream one night.
For all mothers tomorrow, and our special program is 6 o'clock. So come to True Vine Baptist Church for breakfast at 7:45. And Mrs. Luper, I want to tell everybody that they should support the NAACP project because the Freedom Center is looking like a new building. Mr. Spriggs and those men are doing a beautiful job in bricking that center. It looks like a new place. And we are just so happy of all of our sponsors. And we are happy that Mrs. Nala Jewel Phillips had the great insight and the will to want us to get together and build Freedom Center. So I am going to see you at Freedom Center with my chocolate cake and the fried chicken at 11 o'clock. So come out, everybody, buy some bricks for the Freedom Center and support our dinner.
Well, thank you, Nancy. I guess you know that Clara Luper is running ahead, and that's where I'm supposed to be, ahead. Do you think that my students in this town and my friends will let Nancy Davis, let's see who else, Robert Gates and Calvin Luper and Maxine Stale and old Leola Ford and all those old people beat me? No, not as long as there's a Dean Daniels, not as long as there's a Burley and Nero. No, because we're going to put those up. And I would like to thank all of you for everything. And I know we are looking forward to the big moment in our program today.
Well, now, don't forget, we have a lot of students from Dungy School, Star Spencer School, and lots of the parents and church members who will be there to buy those dinners today and support the NAACP and
Youth
the
Council.
Freedom Center and all of the projects that we are carrying out. Thank you, Mrs. Luper. Have a happy, happy Mother's Day.
Yes, and I'm going to have that happy Mother's Day. And I would like to say to all of you out in Radio Land, so many times we wait until people die and then we come in with resolutions. We resolve to do this. You resolve to get up there and help me thank those bricks out. You resolve to come up there because you aren't going to have that chance in my film to, we resolve to remember Clara Luper. I want you to remember those young people that have fought and died for freedom. I want you to remember the Emmett Tills. I want you to remember the Martin Luther Kings. And I want you to remember it by perpetuating your history. If you don't know where you have been, you will never know where you can go. And I want you to help us make Freedom Center what it must become. Now remember that, and you wait and get some flowers and cry and cry. Well, I don't want you crying at my funeral. All I want you to do is to be happy that you helped me do what I wanted to do, and that was to perpetuate your history. The story of Freddie Stevens must be told. The story of Bishop Ponder must be told. How in the world you think somebody could come out of Wewoka, Oklahoma, of all places, in that Indian nation and be known all over the world? I want these stories told. These are real stories. I want to hear the story of a John Reed who was able to bring people together, and that church has certainly been affected by the thing as other churches in Oklahoma City. I want you to know the story of Amos T. Hall and how Amos stood with Ada Lois Sepia. I want you to know the story of Judge Robertson in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and what he did to make this a better day. I want you to know the story of Judge McDonald, who blazed the way for today's politician. And when you get ready to honor someone, I don't know whether he has been honored or not, but he was the one that fought to remove Negro from the ballot. I want you to know the story of Mr. A.M. Hamlin, who was the first black elected to the House of Representatives in the state of Oklahoma. I want you to know your history. I want you to know about an Emmylou Freeman who sued the Board of Education in order that somebody as black as me could get the same salary as white teachers, providing I had the same qualification. Black history is white history. I want you to remember that, because if you don't understand what whites have done, you certainly would not understand what blacks have done. There, for the past weeks and months, we've been talking about how bad black people are. We've heard a lot of that, broken families, and I would like to retell you, it's no disgrace to be from a broken family. So what difference does that make? Some of our greatest leaders came from broken families, but it makes a difference what you're going to do. So let's get our priorities. And remember, you can call me at 672-1220. The pages of American history are filled with the lives of great men and women who through their sacrificial lives have changed the course of history. And certainly today, I have as my distinguished guest a young man who has changed the lives of many people. I've had the opportunity to teach many students that came from his church. I've heard them tell and retell some of the sermons that he has preached. But deeper than the sermons, these young people have told me how he has helped them with their personal problems, whether it was an emotional problem, an educational problem, or a financial problem. A bishop is more than a bishop. This bishop has been a friend to so many, and certainly he has been a friend to those of us that have worked on different highways, but all highways were going the same way. So it is with a great deal of humility and honor that I present to you the international known Bishop Alonzo Ponder, who will deliver our Mother's Day message. Thank you, Bishop.
Ms. Luper, before I talk about Mother's Day in that realm, let me just commend you, first of all, for the tremendous job that you have done here in our community. You are one of the mothers that we ought to be honoring today in the past. Not only that, but you talk about the Freedom Center and the need for those to call in and donate bricks. Let me just give you this check this morning to help with the donation. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it, and We need out there in Radio Land, listen at Bishop Ponder this morning. First of all, this is our center. This is not Clara Luper Center. This Freedom Center is speaking to all of us, and most especially within the last month, Mrs. Luper, freedom is still ringing out like it did 30 or 40 years ago when we were working together. Now, you've asked me to come out this morning and talk about Mother's Day, and not necessarily a message on Mother's Day. Let me just preempt just a little bit of my sermon for tomorrow. I'm not going to be talking like I normally talk about the great mothers who used to be, the great mothers who live today, and the great mothers of the future. I'm going to be talking about marriage, Mrs. Luper, tomorrow. And in talking about marriage, I'm going to be trying to encourage our young people to realize the need of working to keep their marriages together. It's a twofold purpose for the man and the woman to understand that each has to give just a little bit. I think that when we people in this world get so wrapped up in ourselves that everything has to go our way, then we're setting the tone for divorces and things like this. Tomorrow I'll be going back to the book of Genesis and talking about God had created what we call a perfect world. Everything was perfect with one exception, and that exception was he looked down on his creation of man. And in Psalms 8 it says that God created man in the image of God, little lower than an angel, but yet Adam had something that day. Adam was lonely, Mrs. Luper. God saw that Adam was lonely, and God made a woman, a mother to be. A mother to be. And from that mother, all others mothers have come. And when we look down through the curtains of history at Naomi, at Ruth, at all of the great mothers, we have some here today. When I think about my mother, Mrs. Luper, when I think that what Anna Jarvis did many years ago when she petitioned the president to have Mother's Day has always been here. Many of us don't recognize it now. And I want to challenge the children out there, the young folk, the people you've been dealing with for 40 years or more, Mrs. Luper, trying to get our young people to see the need to be good, distinguished young folk in this community and grow up to be mothers and fathers of this city. So let me say to all of you out there, happy Mother's Day, and most especially, Clara, to you for the tremendous job you've done with Calvin and your daughters and everybody. Happy Mother's Day, Ms. Luper.
Bishop, you just have to continue to talk. I'm just sitting here just carried away, and Dr. Malcolm Colby has called, and he's donating 200 bricks, and he would be by Freedom Center to do that. I want you to keep talking.
Well, let me ask you this. I'll go back to that. Let me ask you this. What does 200 bricks cost?
200 bricks cost, they are 21 cents a brick.
Okay. Well, all right, I tell you what I'm going to do. I've already given you a check of $25 from Bishop Ponder. My wife, Beulah, is a tremendous mother. And you talked a moment ago about the first in this city. You know, but a lot of folk don't know it. She was the first secretary in the governor's office under Henry Bellman here, and she worked and she blazed the trail in the governor's office without a lot of fanfare. I want to also donate another $25 worth of bricks in her name, and I'll write the check before I leave today. But I do believe that this is our job in this community. Now, let me talk about some other mothers that we've had, especially in this community that we've known. Ms. Luper, as you have tried hard to get our young people to understand that character means a lot. And in talking in my message tomorrow, and by the way, I'll be going from the book of Ephesians, the 5th chapter, talking about husbands and wives and how they're supposed to respond and how they're supposed to act together. We need to quit thinking that this world is a perfect place. You said it a minute ago. We have problems in this land. We're going to have problems. I was thinking as I was riding out here how life was back in reading and talking to my mother back in the olden days when most of the women stayed at home and took care of the children. Great mothers. And nowadays society demands that women have jobs. They're gainfully employed, and it's necessary now. But the love of that child in the home is still necessary. And there is no love like a mother's love. And we need to understand what this day means. So, out there in Radio Land, 1220 listeners, please remember this. Give your mother some flowers tomorrow. Give your mother some money if she needs it tomorrow. Take your mother out to dinner. Take your wife out to dinner. Show mothers what they ought to be. Now, God bless you, Miss
Bishop
Luper.
Ponder, I know that you're from Wewoka, Oklahoma, and I know your mother has presented to the world not only an international known bishop, but a president of the university. Would you go through the Ponders and what out of Wewoka, Oklahoma has come?
Well, let me say this, Mrs. Luper. First of all, we are common people. We grew up on a farm of 160 acres out there.
That your father owned.
Well, he didn't own it. We rented it at first.
You rented it, but
yes,
you finally bought that land.
Well, I've bought land all down in there now.
Yeah, I know that. I just wanted to make a point.
But my father died when I was very young. I grew up in a home with a single mother, and my mother never married again or anything. She raised 14 children.
Just a minute now.
14 children.
You're telling me that your father died when you were young, and your mother raised 14 children in Wewoka, Oklahoma?
In Wewoka, Oklahoma, on a farm that was not a rich farm. But many times when I made All-State in football, and many times I had to work and not be able to practice and go through some of the hardships and everything. But it made me stronger. Yes, I have a brother that's the president of Fisk University.
Let's call that brother's name.
Dr. Henry Ponder. He's
Dr.
a graduate.
Henry Ponder.
Yes, he's a graduate of Langston University. And by the way, I want our folk to know that it is good to attend a university like Langston University. Black colleges are making a difference in many folks' lives.
You were telling me that Dr. Ponder graduated from Langston University and is now president of Fisk University?
Yes, I am.
Is he the president that went in and saved that university when it was sinking financially?
Yes, it was, and right now, Dr. Ponder has it back up into what we call the black. You know how we regulate in that, and the college, the university is doing well. The student enrollment has grown, but not only that, my sisters and my brothers all in Oklahoma City. You knew Mrs. Jackson.
Okay,
Mamie
let's
Jackson.
talk about Mamie Jackson. What
yes,
did she do?
Mamie Jackson was in the Social Security office, the employment office down there with Miss Mattie Jelst, another great woman of this city that you know about, and she worked for 30 years or more there, and she has been on the boards of several of the employment boards in Oklahoma City and trying to make better jobs for people in Oklahoma City.
That's my Sarah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, let's talk about the others.
Okay, Dorothy Cooper was over 30 years at my sister at Tinker. My sister Ann Bell worked over 30 years at Tinker. My sister Eva worked for the federal installations in Las Vegas. My brother Frank was over 30 years in the service, and he's a minister now in the Church of the Living God. We have just tried to be honorable and good citizens. My mother taught us something, that it's not what's on your head, but it's what's in your head
Wait a minute,
that counts.
repeat that. Because I know we got a lot of people got to have certain hairdos and all that. So it's not what's on your head?
No, it's not. It's what's in your head, and it's character. My mother tried to instill in us certain character. I still nowadays, Ms. Luper, I believe in pulling a chair back for a lady to sit down. I believe in open the doors of the car for a lady to get in. Some of the basic things that my mother taught us are still good. I don't think they're old-fashioned. I think that we in America need to return to some of the old things that we used to do, where we showed our ladies. The black lady in our community, you talk about Wewoka now, let me tell you, we almost idolized our black ladies and especially our mothers in Wewoka. All of them we characterized as being great mothers of history.
I am talking to a young man who came up in a broken home, broken by the great hand of death, and was left with a mother along with 13 other children that have gone out in the world and made a difference. And those of you that have told me that you can't make it because you didn't have a father, I want you to listen to Bishop Ponder, who not only made it, but here's a family from Wewoka, Oklahoma, 14 children, and all of them have made good.
And we think when we use the term good, all of us found Christ at an early age. And first of all, I think it's important that your radio people understand that they need to get Christ in their lives. And I keep using the word character. When I talk about character, I want to talk about conviction. I want to talk about faith. I want to talk about believing in someone. I spent over 20 years in the military service, Ms. Luper, and I never let anyone tell me I was not somebody. I am somebody. I've always been somebody. My mother raised 14 somebodies. And I'm trying to tell the young folk out there in your radio land that keep telling you that there are problems in this land, you can be anything that you want to if you will make the sacrifices necessary in order to get there. But too many of us want a fast life. We want a gay popping life. We want what you described a minute ago, curls in our hair. And if your radio land can't see me, but I don't have a lot of hair. But the difference, what I'm trying to say when I say it's what's in your head that counts. You don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to go all that way, but you have to study to show yourself approved. A workman for the master need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the words of truth. We have to learn to respect each other. I think there's where the breakdown is. We don't respect each other in this society that we live in now.
This is a Clara Luper radio show, and this part of the show is brought to you by Marilyn Hildred, your Allstate insurance agent. Your Allstate insurance agent would like to invite you to Fifth Street Baptist Church today at 6:30 p.m. for the annual musical. This musical will take place at Fifth Street Baptist Church, 801 Northeast to 5th Street at exactly 6:30 p.m. It will feature such soloists as Mrs. Novella Palmer, Mr. Thomas Bird, and many, many others. Now, that's at 6:30, and you better be there by 6:15 in order that you can get a seat. Today's program is dedicated to mothers everywhere, and today our special guest has been a young man out of Wewoka, Oklahoma, who grew up in a large family and who has touched so many lives. Bishop Punda, I've tried to get around talking about the crisis that we have had in Oklahoma City, because today I wanted to look at things just differently, because I know we are still mourning many of our losses. Large crowd turned out to say goodbye to the battles and to Ronald Harding and others. But I want you to know that we feel the hurt. But Bishop, I know, and Bobby Joe and Joe Nicholson have just called, and they are giving 100 bricks
Amen.
to Calvin Luper's team. Well,
All right.
well, look at it. Calvin, nothing but teeth. That's all he knows how to do. It's just a grin. And Nichols, I want to see those bricks. I want to be up to Freedom Center when a Nichols come, but you haven't seen nothing yet. But I want you to give us some. I don't know what I want you to do for us, but we've been so depressed. We cannot understand. Bishop, please.
Ms. Luper, some of the ministers of the city have been criticized because they have not been on the television and all of that.
Well, who would dare criticize our...
I don't know.
These are people that
this.
don't understand how this system works.
Well, not necessarily the system. They don't understand this tragedy. There are no textbooks. There are no plans. There are no ways that you can really say how this ought to happen. You talked about John Reed and the job that he's tried to do in the face of this disaster, the programs, the one we put on the other night, Ms. Luper, where you were a guest speaker, and let me commend you for those things that you said that night, challenging all of us. But let me tell you, with all of the variety of ministers and the different denominations coming together and to help raise money, we have to minister to our people. Our people have needs. We're not in the fanfare to try to get out there and be on television and all that. But let me tell you, there's John Reed, Lee Cooper, and Lee and Jerome Free are both my nephews. Now, these are two outstanding young ministers in this community that are doing a tremendous job. They're young, but Dr. Jackson, all of the others, we have worked hard, tiring. We have to minister to the young folk in our church. We have to minister to the old people in our church. And I dare say, Ms. Luper, that there will be 2 or maybe 5 years before we really feel all of the impact that this disaster, I had personal friends there, Clarence Wilson, Donald Burns, the Battles, Calvin Battle, and I want you to know that it's a totally different thing in talking to them. And I have found that some of my friends who had friends that were involved in this tragedy, their lives are torn up. And they can't understand how this disaster can happen. And a lot of times they just want a minister or a counselor to come and listen at them. So I think that in the last month or so, listening has been as much of an art of my talking to people as it is in trying to counsel them and try to lead them over. So this has been a terrible disaster in our community. But we have to pick up the pieces. We still have to exist. We still have our children to think about and to talk about. And we have to let our children know that this is a real world. These things really happen. So I know this is the job that you're doing. I'm trying to help do this job and many others. So I want to commend the people to seek Christ and get Christ in your life right now. And Christ will help you over these hurdles.
There's been a question that young people have been asking, why did God let this happen to us in Oklahoma City, of all places? We were not bothering anybody.
Well, when you use the word God let this happen, I think we may be able to stretch that word and allow, tolerate, or something like this. Look at the book of Job. God did not cause the problems to happen to Job. It was a disaster situation. He allowed Satan to do the things that he did to prove the fact that a man dedicated and consecrated and a man with convictions and faith in God would hold on. And Job proved God to be right. All of his friends turned against him. But Job lost everything that he had. But God replenished him. God gave him threefold everything that he lost. So within this tragedy, there may be some light. We need to see how corrupt and how sinful men's lives are. Our government, our state, our city need to understand that brotherly love is the demand. This is what you fought about. This is what you talked about in the 1950s and the 1960s. That peace, brotherly love is necessary right now. So behind this tragedy, we need to try to make an exodus of hate within our community. These hate groups, we need to do something about it rather than to go out and to try to bring down people that are trying to raise their children in the admonition of the Lord. So a return, Mrs. Luper, and when I use the word return, you see, we live in what we call a progressive world. It changes every day, even from creation to now. But we need to return to some of the value system that we used to have. We need to train our children. We need to be able to talk to our children. And these hate groups, these people who want to destroy our lives. Let me say one thing quick to our community. What you, Dr. King, and many others did for us, you may not ever get the allocations and the thank yous that you need, but listen carefully at me. Madeline O'Hara, one person, started the disaster that you talked about a few minutes ago. When she petitioned for prayer to come out of the schools, one woman did it. And I'm telling you now, all of those that are helping fight for the Freedom Center, all of those that are trying to rebuild the Freedom Center, all of those that are trying to rebuild the character of our black folk that you've tried to talk about for years and years while you were in the school system and everywhere else, we need to get behind you and let you know that a few people can change the image of the state of Oklahoma. I congratulate those Oklahomans who have realized that love, understanding, and peace is much greater than the hate that we've listened to.
Thank you so very kindly, Bishop Ponder. I've just received a word from a group of Zetas down in Prairie View who say they are going to send something to help us with our project. As I look at the clock on the wall, I know it's about time for me to say goodbye. I really hate to say goodbye to all of you because we have been together so long. We've walked down the highway of life for a long time. Oh, we have different on many issues, but we are together. We are together in trying to build a better world and trying to pick up the pieces. And if I should see you on the streets, I want you to speak to me. I want you to know how much I've loved you and how much I've respected you. And I want you to come by today. I want you to come by Freedom Center and see me. I want you to see the bricks. And I want you to know that in a few days we will have the pictures of men like Bishop Ponder and others there to remind you of what these people have done. You can't neglect them. We can't put them aside, and we must never forget them. And during the past week, I have not been well, and you have remembered me. You've sent me flowers, and I appreciate them. But now I want you to do more. I want you to bring me some bricks so that we can finish this job. And this is Clara Luper saying, whatever you do and wherever you go, Calvin is smiling because he got 100 bricks. I want you to remember everybody, and thank you so much, Bishop Ponder, and a special thanks to your lovely wife. This is Clara Luper saying, whatever you do, stay out of trouble. You can't say you love me and go somewhere and steal something, go to jail, and have your mother cry. Clara Luper, I love you. Bye-bye. Ooh, that was so rich. That was so rich. As I followed up, I told you that I want a picture of you, and I want it in